Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ryan Kostrowski with the DFS 5-pack. I'm here with my main man, Matthew Bellman. We are starting to do joint videos together, so hopefully this will entertain you guys a little bit more. But we are quickly going to run through the MLB four-game slate on Friday. It's starting quick, though, so like I said, we'll try to be pretty quick today so you guys can get your lineups in.
Yeah, we're going to run through this pretty quickly. We'll start off talking about starting pitchers. I think Kluber is the definite guy I want today. I don't care that he's the most expensive. I want him. Bauer looked awesome last night. I think Kluber is just going to continue that. I don't think that's really a question for me. Both formats, I want Kluber. You?
I'm with you 100% on that one. If you look at pitching today, to me, pitching is pretty simple about what I'm looking for. Without question, I want to piggyback off of what Bauer did last night. Piggyback off the future AL Cy Young Award winner and go with Corey Kluber. The Yankees strike out about as much as anybody left in this in the playoffs right now. So you get the K upside that goes along with it, and I have no interest in using Kershaw right below him.
I agree. I mean, if I'm going to spend over 11K for someone, it's going to be Kluber. I will say, though, just in talking, the GPP contrarian way, you can really only use one of the top three guys. I'm sure Keuchel's going to be very chalky pairing with one of them. So in GPP, I don't mind any of them, especially Strasburg, who's probably going to be under-owned, who I actually probably like more than Kershaw.
I like Strasburg much more than Kershaw. Kershaw did not look like himself towards the end of the season since coming back from injury. I pulled it up earlier, and for you guys checking out, looking at the screen, Clayton Kershaw is merely mortal within the playoffs. And I kind of think of him the same way as I think of Peyton Manning. I think they're so great in the regular season that they really don't have anything extra to bring in the playoffs, where some of the guys who are just, maybe mediocre in the regular season bring some extra A game into the playoffs. They're just so good during the regular season. I don't know what they have left to give you. So I feel like the competition catches up to them a little bit because they step their game up, whereas these guys give you max effort throughout the entire regular season.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Honestly, like Sale and Kershaw are just very similar to me right now. I want no part of either of them. The Houston stack worked out well for us last night. I probably will run an Arizona stack in GPP, and I'm fine with it here because it's not like there's any scrub pitchers on the hill. I mean, CC is obviously going to be the popular guy to pick on, but I'm fine going with some Arizona bats, especially in GPP.
Yep. And if you guys are looking at the screen, you can tell Kershaw's got a 4.55 career ERA in the playoffs. That's nothing special. So I have really very little interest in using him. But to agree with what you said, if you're looking at a different expensive pitcher, Steven Strasburg, I would go above Kershaw. Not only do you get some cap savings, this guy closed out the season strong. Minus that weaker start against the Mets. I mean, he had some monster performances coming down the stretch.
Yeah, I like Strasburg here. My only problem is, and we've talked about this a bunch, is how hot the Cubs are. I just like the Cubs in this series. I don't want to pick on them. Obviously, Strasburg's an ace, so I don't mind it here. It's just everything lines up for me personally to use Kluber. You're right. You can definitely use Strasburg to be contrarian. But for me, these guys are so similarly priced. I just go with the best guy in Kluber.
Yep. And to me, pitching's a no-brainer to me today. And obviously, you can be wrong a million times, but I like Kluber, and then I like to pair him with Kyle Hendricks.
Me too, man. I thought you were going to say Keuchel. I like Hendricks a lot here. I actually think Keuchel is going to be really chalky because I think when people look at this slate, they see the top four guys, and Keuchel is under 9K. He's way less than the other guys, so he's going to be the guy that you pair your Kluber with. I like Hendricks a lot more. I like the Cubs, piggybacking on what we just said. I'm not scared of Washington right now. Obviously, I like Bryce Harper, but I'm fine with Hendricks. He's the guy I want to pair Kluber with.
Yep. And so since we're talking Kyle Hendricks, guys, Cubs have been in the playoffs over the last 2 years. Kyle Hendricks has been a beast in the postseason. We're talking through his first handful of starts now, a 2.38 ERA in the playoffs through 7 starts. That's 34 innings pitched with 30 Ks, which is a kind of a high K rate for him. A whip under 1.1. You get the Cubs rolling in hot. The Nationals will really never quite themselves down the stretch because of a myriad of injuries. So as much as I like the Nationals in the first half, sometimes injuries just derail you. And when you get your best player out of there for however long it was, 5-6 weeks or whatever, he's just not quite the same team. So Hendricks is shown to be the man in the playoffs. And I'm going to piggyback off what he did the last couple of seasons in the playoffs. And I think he's the clear-cut number 2 guy today. He's better on the road typically. So I think he really has everything working in his direction.
Agreed. And it's just like we said, man, we like the Cubs right now. They're hot. I mean, I can easily see another Cubs Indians World Series. I think he's a little bit underpriced today. It's too hard to pair, two of the top guys. And when I look at starting pitching a lot of times, I don't really want to go over 20,000. If I can go under, great. And if you pair Kluber and Hendricks, you're right at that mark, so you're fine. I think
I've been playing around with the slate for the last hour. And for every little bit of extra offense you can get for money is great. But just look at Hendricks' performance down the stretch. This guy has double digits in every single one of his starts since the beginning of August. He's been consistent. He may not be the highest upside pitcher you'll find due to the fact he's not a giant strikeout pitcher, but he's more than adequate for getting strikeouts. And if you look below him, what interest do you have in playing Taijuan Walker? I have 0, Pomerantz 0, CC 0. CC's never even really been that good in the playoffs. He's obviously as bad now as he's ever been throughout his career. So to me, I may just stick with the same two guys through and through today and just rock Hendricks and Kluber.
I agree. The only thing that I'm a little bit different on, I have 0 interest in Pomerantz and 0 interest in Sabathia. I have a tiny bit of interest in Taijuan Walker, only because of what you just said. He's the only guy out of the guys under 7K that I consider even usable in GPP. I don't like him, don't get me wrong, but you can fit a lot more bats if you use him with Strasburg or Kluber even just to be different. I'm not going to use Pomerantz or Sabathia in anything. If I run 3 lineups, I'll probably run 2 with Hendricks and Kluber and 1 with Walker and Kluber. I'll probably use Kluber in all 3. But if I just use 1 or 2 lineups, I'm going to go Hendricks and Kluber, like you said.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on to the catcher position. Starting at the top real quickly. I mean, just like any slate that you're in, even though he's up against Kluber, Gary Sanchez, I get it. I just would never spend the money on him today going against the future AL Cy Young.
Yeah, agreed. And just a quick caveat about Sanchez. I don't think he's going to be playing catcher that much longer. I've never seen a defensive catcher worse in my life than last night. This dude was letting 1 of every 5 balls past him. It was ridiculous. But while he's still eligible, obviously he's the best player. I'm not going to use him here against Kluber. I think there's a clear option here. And the Indians are going to be popular on this slate. And you got Yan Gomes, who's probably going to get the start at 3K. I think you use him in any format.
I'm also okay with Vasquez.
Interesting. I like that.
At the same price. I kind of like Boston today. And the more I thought about it, I mean, Boston's got the playoff pedigree. They got beat down pretty well yesterday, but they put together some pretty solid at-bats off of Justin Verlander and really limited his upside. I think maybe they come out today, even though I don't typically like them against lefties. And I actually like some parts of their bottom part of their order. So if you went with a Vasquez, Chris Young, and you even got Marrero in there, you can use for cap space. So I wouldn't go all out on Boston, but I think you can do a little mini stack down in the bottom portion of their lineup and maybe get some cap space. And I originally looked at Evan Gattis right there because he looked so good yesterday. But he's got some decent number of at-bats if you scroll up and you go check him out. He's faced Pomerantz 13 times, and he's got a single, couple of strikeouts, and no other hits besides that. So even though I usually like him versus lefties, 1 for 13 with no extra base hits doesn't have me excited about the prospect of using him.
You're right. I spoke too soon when talking about Gomes. I think Gomes is an option, whoever's starting for Cleveland, but he's not the only option. I like your Vasquez call a lot. You're reading my mind today. I like Boston a lot here. I think I don't like Keuchel in this spot. I think Boston ties this series up today. I don't really have interest in Pomerantz, but if I had to choose between Pomerantz and Keuchel, it would probably be Pomerantz. And I'm definitely going to run a GPP line with a Boston and Arizona stack.
So, and just for you guys, maybe forget this stuff. I don't have, if we get a 4-game slate like this, I don't like to use pitchers from this game at all because both Houston and Boston just don't strike out much. They're very, very low K rate teams, and the same goes for the Indians. So using pitchers against these guys is kind of tough, which goes and piggybacks what I said about Kluber, that the Yankees still strike out plenty. And you don't think they're going to hit Aaron Judge with that curveball over and over and over and over again today, showing that he couldn't hit it last night at all?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. I don't see any reason to use pitchers in this game. It's just getting too cute. You've got other really good options. Just stick with those. Okay,
let's move over to the first base. And I'll just kind of run through my opinions real quickly on this one. I'm not going with Edwin. It's too much money for what I want. He's not the top offensive guy I want. I'm not going Bellinger. I can get on board with Goldschmidt because I might do an Arizona stack as well. But the first baseman that I'm truthfully looking at is either going to be Carlos Santana or I also do have some interest in Hanley, who on the eye test yesterday looked like he was a little bit annoyed he didn't get the start. He came out swinging once he moved in for Eduardo Nunez when he went up.
Lock and load, Hanley. That's my guy here, no doubt about it. I like Edwin, but like you said, he's not the top offensive guy I want. And it's just on these small slates, especially in the playoffs when you don't get a lot of value, it's too hard to fit a lot of the top guys. Hanley is just too cheap. And like you just said, he looked pissed he wasn't in the starting lineup last night, passed the eye test. I like Boston. Everything fits here, 3.6K.
Okay. The other thing, though, I'll bring up is Carlos Santana. Is I do think if somebody gets first base attention from Cleveland, people are going to look at E5. Carlos Santana's 10 of 19 with 2 extra base hits and only 1 strikeout for CC Sabathia. So that's a large enough sample size that I would consider it at least something to take a look at.
Yeah, for sure. I like Cleveland. I mean, I think they're going to be the popular team to play. It's hard with the pitching. I don't know. I just really Hanley looked really good to me yesterday. That's the only reason I like him a lot. I agree with you. It's either Santana or Hanley.
It kind of sucks, but even that what is it, $600 in cap space, it makes a difference in a slate like this too.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, moving over to second base. I'm still, just like we said yesterday, and I hope we steered enough of you guys watching this in the right direction. Jose Altuve was one of my top guys on the slate, and he did not disappoint, to say the very, very least. He had a wonderful, wonderful game.
Yeah, you pretty much needed Altuve yesterday in order to cash in any format. We were both all over him in cash and GPP, so that was good. There's no reason not to use him here. He's probably
except for his price. The other guy that I would like is Daniel Murphy. And it'd be the one time that I would pick on my own pitcher.
Man, we are on the same exact page today. I like Murphy here also a lot because that $800 helps you a good amount. If I can fit Altuve in, though, I mean, obviously I'm not expecting another 3-homer game, but he's just that good.
And let me give you some of my reasons behind Daniel Murphy. And it's twofold. 1, 3 home runs off Kyle Hendricks in 15 at-bats. So 1 of every 5 times he's faced him. 3 home runs in 15 at-bats is a big enough sample size that while I don't say take it to the bank, I say it's worth taking a look at. But the other thing I love about Daniel Murphy is big game Dan coming to play in the playoffs, 7 career home runs and 74 postseason at-bats. Big time. When this guy played for the Mets, he had one of the more legendary postseason runs there has been. So I like a guy that steps it up in the postseason today. He'd be probably the only piece of Washington I'm really interested in using against my pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, I like Harper also, but I actually agree with you because I think Altuve, he wasn't as popular as I thought he would be yesterday. And I think
Chris Hale.
Yeah, true. No, I mean, other Houston guys were popular. He was actually less popular than Correa and a couple other guys. So I think people are going to chase what he did yesterday, and I'm fine just using him yesterday and using Murphy here. I like him a lot in this spot. He's got good upside, even against our pitcher.
Okay. Oh, and for anybody watching this, this is our first public video on Matthew's channel. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a lot of joint videos together, but we're also going to, we'll have time to do our own individual videos. A lot of you watching this might be already subscribed to my channel, but press subscribe on this one as we're going to continue to push out more content. But that's just a side note. Moving along to third base, anybody stick out to you right away that you're a big fan of?
I'll tell you what, no one really but Alex Bregman. I'm definitely getting in either third or short. I mean, I'm just going to continue to use this guy. I don't know why he's under 4K. He is just awesome, especially against lefties. He's one of my favorite bats on the slate. I think he's a guy you got to use, especially at his price.
Totally makes sense. The other guys I would bring up is both Devin Marrero and what's your guy's name? Ursula?
Yeah, yeah, they give you great cap space.
Yeah, and you're going to need cap space somewhere, and they only give you so many options in the playoffs. My big problem with both of these guys, though, is look for the potential for them getting pinch hit possibly later in the game if a right-handed reliever comes in and they want to switch things up. That's the only thing that gives me cause to pause to use them for cap space guys, and it's something to watch out for. And I'm going to bring up another guy when we move to the outfield that I like a lot, but it worries me that he's going to have to get pinch hit for eventually.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I'm not really worried about that with Urshela, only because they left Yandy Diaz off the roster. He started last night against Sonny Gray. He played the whole game. I think he's pretty much.
Okay, so I would use Bregman or I would use third base for cap space. I mean, I like Chris Bryant, but not against Strasburg. I like Rendon, but not against Hendricks. I like Justin Turner, but that LA offense hasn't been great. And Turner flipped around his splits this year, so those are the guys I'd be looking at.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I'm using Bregman or cap space. And a Marrero, if you use Vasquez and Marrero as part of a Boston stack, that's a lot of cap space right there. And you have the 7-8 hitters. You can do a little wraparound stack right there.
Yep. Okay. Let's move to shortstop. I mean, Lindor is your top guy. I would agree with it. But again, it goes back to what we bring up over and over again. Since you're going to want to use Kluber, trying to fit Lindor into your lineup becomes really, really difficult.
Yeah, it's really hard to pay for Kluber and Indians bats. I mean, Indians bats honestly could be a little bit higher, but not Lindor. He's too expensive for me here. If I use cap space at third, I'll use Bregman here. And if not, I got a lot of interest in Bogarts at 3.7K. I think that's just too cheap. Like I said earlier, I like Boston here. That's the other part of the wraparound stack. If you go, for instance, Vasquez, Marrero, Bradley, Bogarts, that's a wraparound stack, and you're saving a lot of money there. You can fit a lot of bats after that.
Yep. Otherwise, yeah, I'm kind of with you on the whole Bogarts idea. Bregman would be the guy. Palmer or Marwin Gonzalez had some good at bats yesterday, but at 4,200, I don't typically look to play him from the right side anyhow. I mean, you can maybe look at Ketel Marte coming off back-to-back triples if you're going to do a Diamondback stack. I don't know if he'll be back up in that 2-hole again or not, and it's going to be a late game, so it's really hard to plan around that. And then I guess if Wilmer Defoe plays, he's potential cap space as well, but Xander Bogaerts is batting first, and at 3,700, he almost for sure gets that extra at bat. We're really not getting anybody. I don't know if Adam Rosales even made the playoff roster.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. And yeah,
you can't plan for that because it's the last game either.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I don't mind Marwin Gonzalez here, but my thing with him is that I don't like him batting eighth. And all things considered, I like Boston over Houston today, so I'll go Bogarts for a little bit cheaper. But Marwin is really good, and he never gets used.
He's better as a left-handed hitter, though, as a switch guy, so that would be my issue with him. So
good point.
Okay, moving to the outfield. I'm not really looking at any of the top-priced outfield guys, which is kind of a nice thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like Bryce Harper here, but I'd rather use Murphy, and I'm not trying to go heavy on Washington bats against Hendricks. My favorite outfielder, and when I first looked at this slate, actually my two favorites probably are both 4,100. I like JD Martinez a lot, even against Kershaw, and I like Mookie Betts.
Yep, I don't typically use Betts too much against lefties, but I like JD Martinez. I don't trust Kershaw to come out and be Kershaw at all today. I like Kershaw. I'm not a big Dodgers fan, but I've always liked Kershaw because I've had him on my fantasy baseball teams enough that I've watched him pitch a good number of times. But until you show me that you're going to be the same guy in the postseason, I don't feel the need to not pick on you a little bit. And he just wasn't quite himself down the stretch. Now, Kershaw not being himself is still a really, really good pitcher, but I don't see any need to spend top dollar on outfielders. I like JD Martinez a lot today. I like him in all formats. And I think outfield's a pretty good spot to save some money today because a couple of the other guys I'm looking at, you got to scroll a little ways down for. And the guy I was bringing up is Austin Jackson. Even though there's a good chance he gets pinch hit for, would you not agree he's likely in the lineup today?
For sure. I think he'll be in the 2-hole.
I think he'll be in the 2-hole as well. He's only $3,500. And if you go take a look at his experience off of CC Sabathia, you'll see that he's 10 of 34, which is a 294 batting average. So it's not overwhelming, but he's got 5 extra base hits off of CC and 34 at bats. He loves left-handed pitching. Austin Jackson is a career massive split guy. He's maintained a professional career simply by his ability to hit left-handed pitching.
Yeah, Austin Jackson is a guy I'm definitely going to lock in. 3.5K, it's just too good for him. And I do agree with you that I think he might get pinch hit for, but I don't think it's a definite. Chisenhall just didn't look great to me last night. Jackson looked a little bit better. I mean, yeah, he could definitely get pinch hit for. It's a key situation against a righty, but I think he's going to get at least 2 or 3 at bats. I think 3.
Yep. So I'm going to use outfield to spend down a lot today. And maybe if I were to use a Chicago Cub, I don't mind Kyle Schwarber. Really just looking for the one home run out of him, but he does it a lot.
Yeah, I don't mind Schwarber either. I mean, he's always more popular than he should be, so it makes him a decent play in any format. We talk about that all the time. And just going back on my first guy, I agree with you. I don't like to play Mookie against lefties either, but it just goes back to my point that I like Boston here. He's their best hitter. If I'm gonna, use Boston guys, I feel like I have to have exposure to Betts, and he looks pretty good recently. And this is a guy that has monster upside. I mean, he's got 50-point upside in any game. I mean, I'm not expecting that, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, he put some solid swings on JV yesterday, so I got no issues with him at all whatsoever. If you want to use Pollock in Arizona stack, I'm good with that. If you want to keep going down, Granderson, again, it sucks that you don't know where he's going to be in the batting order, even 100% sure that he plays, although I would assume they would leave one of their veteran guys in there like that. I'm okay with him. But what's annoying when you look at this 4-game slate is you don't 100% know who's going to be in the lineup today for these late games. So you can take some educated guesses, and you're probably going to be right, but you definitely don't know for sure.
100%.
So to continue,
it's so hard.
We're talking cheaper outfield guys. I got Chris Young as being in a great spot today, batting in the 6 hole against Dallas Keuchel. Chris Young, very similar to Austin Jackson, has maintained a career within the majors simply by his ability to hit left-handed pitching. Now, if you look at his splits just from 2017, it was a little bit of a weird year that he actually didn't hit lefties more effectively, but he's got a full career of it, and he's not an everyday player. So I'll just chalk that up to an anomaly, but it is something worth looking at.
Yeah, this guy, and we've gone over this before, I do not like to play Chris Young. He always gets overplayed, especially against the lefty. I mean, he's just not that good to me, but going off what you just said, it's a great spot for him. He's a career lefty masher. He's batting 6th today. He fits into that Boston stack. He's a great piece. The other guy that I'm not really interested in, but I think you can use for around that price, who looked good to me last night, got the first hit off Bowers, Aaron Hicks. I think he's just too cheap. I think they'll probably move him up in the order. If they don't, I have no interest in batting 9th, but he's just a one-off. I don't mind.
Yep, and then if you look at Chris Young, again, 7 of 23 with 2 doubles, a triple, and only 3 strikeouts off Dallas Keuchel. So it kind of fits the narrative again a little bit that he's had some success off of him. Not a gigantic sample size, but at least something worth taking a look at. As far as like batter versus pitcher statistics, there really isn't anybody else that's, a glaring must play. A sneaky idea could be Jason Hayward, who's 15 to 37 with 4 doubles, a home run, and only 6 Ks off Steven Strasburg. That's a 405 career batting average and 37 at bats. That's a big enough sample size to think, you know what? Maybe it's just one of those weird things where the pitcher's better than the hitter, but in this case, the hitter just sees the pitcher well.
Yeah, I don't mind Hayward at all here. I was actually looking at him before I even heard those stats, so that even makes me more interested. The one thing I'm really interested about this slate, and just asking you real quick before we finish, both of us are pretty much on the same page. We don't like Keuchel at all. We like Boston more. When I looked at this slate, I thought Keuchel was going to be chalk. Do you think so, or do you think people are thinking like us?
I assume Kluber will be chalky as can be.
For sure. But the guy
after that, I'm not really 100% sure. I think Hendricks will get some love due to his consistency. How did Keuchel finish out the season? He was decent coming down the stretch for sure, and he just hasn't been getting those big K games like he did. But he did close out with 7 and 8, so it is pretty good. But again, Boston does not strike out a lot, so you get very limited upside from him. He's got to be perfect.
I agree, man. I hope he's chalk, and I just think he will be, simply because when I look at this slate, he just has that name value with the Cy Young Award, et cetera. So you see the top 4 guys, and he's under 9K. I just think people are going to go to him automatically, and I hope so. I think this is going to be a really good slate for us to win.
Okay. Well, that kind of covers that. If you are one of our paying customers, first off, thank you very much. We are going to go and do our write-ups. I'm going to cover the cash game lineup today, and Matthew's going to write up the GPP portion of it. So he tends to play more GPP, whereas even though I play more GPP in baseball, I tend to be more of the cash game guy for us. But if you drop down to these real cheap outfielders, there really isn't anybody in there. It's possible Andre Ethier might get a start at 2,800. But it goes back to what we've been saying. You can't really take chances on guys within the Arizona and Dodgers lineup. And even on a 2-game slate yesterday, I had Ellsbury locked into a lot of my lineups for cap space. I went to pick up my kid from school, and I come home right after the games had just started, so I couldn't make a lot of changes. And all of a sudden, I find out Ellsbury's not in. So you had to make all these adjustments. It really messed with my lineups. And I only made a small profit yesterday, even after using Altuve, because I had to make some adjustments I didn't like just because of that. So that's the thing to watch out for in those later games.
Same thing happened to me. I had Ellsbury in, had to take him out. There weren't enough guys to use. So I ended up having to use a couple guys I didn't like, and it cost me.
So that's that, guys. Thanks for watching. We will go right up for all the 5-pack members, guys. But outside of that, have yourselves a wonderful day. Let's watch some playoff baseball, and talk to you guys soon.
Good luck.